in Wareham. What's going on, Miss Steph?
Not much. How about you?
Not much. Steph's getting over a cold, and well, not a cold, but a little bug. So she's a little under the weather tonight. I don't know if it was because of too much ham for Easter or.
No. I thoroughly enjoyed my Easter dinner, and it was fine. So
Good.
I have no clue. But
Good.
other than that, everything's good.
Everything's good? Good. I just noticed it looks like I have one arm in my shop. Oh, no, I have none. Okay. So anyways, I hope everybody at home had a really nice Easter. I know I did. I went on a little Easter egg hunt and, found all the eggs and knocked out all the kids. I'm kidding. No, I didn't.
Don't lie.
No, I didn't. But yeah, I enjoyed myself too.
That's
So, this week, big week, some big announcements going on.
Mm-hmm.
First, I want to say to everybody that I actually posted on June 10th at the Taunton Holiday Inn. I'm going to be doing a Spirit Connections gallery reading with Miss Nicole Stevens, who I had on my show back in January.
Mm-hmm.
We're both going to be going back and forth, connecting with spirit. That's, again, at the Taunton Holiday Inn. So definitely go to my website, tiffanyrice.com, or Spirit Medium Tiffany on Facebook. Or you can get more info by going to NicoleStevens.com. So I'm really excited about that. You're going to be there, Steph.
Of course I will be.
Cheering me on, some moral support. I think
Always.
Carl's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are going to be my little...
Your fan club,
Yay.
your fan section.
Buy a T-shirt. No, I don't have any T-shirts.
I can
made
wear
yet.
one with your face on it. Do you want to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
All right. I can do that.
Like the ones you get at the mall?
Yeah, we can work something out.
You can put a frame?
Yeah.
Maybe put a little crown on me.
Okay, we can do that
I kind
too.
of like that idea with a crown.
Or I can just skip you and wear a Lily shirt.
Maybe.
Okay. We'll get you
anyway.
one too. It's okay.
So that's my big announcement. I'm really excited about it. And, of course, one of the reasons why I have my guest on tonight is the Ocean State Paracon.
Yes, which we've been talking about for weeks now is what it seems like.
I feel like that's a daily staple in our
Yeah, pretty
conversation
much.
each week. We're like, and April 14th, Ocean
And
State Paracon. Yeah.
And Paracon again. Oh, wait, and Paracon. So, yeah, we've been talking about it for a while now, so it's finally coming up.
I'm so excited for it because, one, it's going to be at the St. Anne's Cultural Center in Woonsocket, Rhode
Right.
Island, which I've heard so many good things about it. I hear that it's beautiful.
Right.
And I hear that it's extremely haunted. So
We'll know when we get there.
I know. So Steph's going to be there with Phantom PI, with her booth. I'm going to be there at a booth.
Somewhere. Usually when you find one of us, you find the other,
Exactly.
and vice versa. So
I'm going to be doing a little lecture, a Q&A on getting connected with spirit. So definitely for all you guys, I think it's so worthwhile going to because it's not that expensive to get in the door, and there's going to be so many people, which that's why, again, Ken and Dave are here to talk about it.
Right.
You know? We're going to go into what the lectures are about, so you really can't beat it.
it's really exciting. I've been waiting, I don't know how many months now for it,
I
but
know.
at first I was bummed. I'm like, oh, it's the day after my birthday, but
now you're getting closer and closer.
now I'm going.
Yeah.
I was like, talked to my husband, like, so, because we were supposed to go to Boston for the night and everything. I'm like, well, there's no point because we have to get up early and I got to be at Paracon for the whole day.
Oh, yeah.
so
Are you going to Boston? No.
I don't know.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. But really excited for it, so we'll see. It's pretty much the who's who of paranormal will be there, so it'll be a very exciting day.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. And then the following week, again, there's the Psychic and Paranormal Fair at the Seaport in Fairhaven. And then there's the Graveyard Shift. So if you guys haven't purchased your tickets, get your tickets, and then you'll be able to get a reading with me, which
Yes.
I'm really excited about. So you can go to Fairhaven and see some vendors and just meet a bunch of people.
Right.
And then if you are a ticket holder for the Graveyard Shift, you can go to Slater Mill in Pawtucket, and there's going to be a bunch of people there too, and you can do an event investigation. So
Right. That'll be cool. They always put on a good show, too.
I know.
Everything, the lectures, the whole ordeal, the event's always really well run, so it should be exciting.
And it's good because they started this back in September, so this is the second run, and I'm hoping that Ocean State Paracon actually does the same thing because, to my understanding, I think they're sold out as far as the vendors go. There's no more room for people for
Wow.
booths because he had so many people respond. So
That's awesome.
I can't wait. People from all over, New York,
That's
Connecticut,
crazy.
New Hampshire, all over. I just threw in Connecticut. I don't know. I just kind of lied about that, but I thought it'd sound good.
just why not?
Yeah, exactly. There probably is. I just don't know. But that's why he's on, so we can talk about it. So yeah, so I'm
Very
excited.
good.
What else is going on? I just feel like I've been the anticipation for the month of April for this.
Right.
You know?
April is a big, big month. On the 29th, I don't know if you're joining me yet or not, but there's a psychic fair for the Council on Aging and Acushnet.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Definitely look for information. The more it gets closer, the more we'll talk about it. But I will be there with, they asked me to do readings, but I'm going to do my It Works. So if you guys want to come down and get a body wrap, definitely come down that day and I'll have that all
You
set up.
should. I'm telling you, it's so worth it.
Yes, definitely. So that'll be exciting because I figured, why not? We'll just throw that out there. It's flying right now. The business is crazy. So in the past week, I've had so much happen. So
I know. Well, I've seen it on Facebook.
Yep.
Because on Facebook, there's always, between Asia, who was on the show back in
Yep.
December, and my sister and you, and it just seems like every single time I click on Facebook, it's like, oh, welcome to a new distributor, blah, blah, blah. So,
yep, it's awesome.
That's
so
awesome.
within the past week, my business has kicked up like tremendously. So
and we have to do another wrap on the show.
yes, we do.
Bottom
of course,
line.
everybody can see
Bottom
what it's
line.
like, and maybe we can have guinea pigs this time.
I know.
You never know.
Other than me. Although I will never
We were
turn
very
down a
good.
wrap.
Right.
I'll never turn down a wrap.
We were
'cause
very
it's
good guinea
fun.
pigs, but we can have a wrap show.
Exactly.
So
Ooh,
that'll be
I
exciting.
fall off the chair.
Don't do that, please.
Well, I was worried about the mic because it always falls.
It's just a tradition every
know.
week. It just falls off the chair. So
I do want to mention one other thing about April, is that not only is it Steph's birthday, but it's the 1-year birthday of Spirit Connections.
yes, it is. It's coming up
I'm
fast.
really excited about it.
We have an audience today.
I know. I know. I'm so excited about it. I never thought that it would be first out of my kitchen and then out of my spare bedroom called the Studio 807.
Yes, absolutely.
AKA demo room. And now, I've been blessed to have Carl and Warren and Steve and everybody invite me on, and I've invited you on, and
Yep.
now this has become a weekly event. So each week you guys can tune in and watch us.
Right.
And then you can watch the archives again over and over again.
So what are we doing for that day? Do we know yet?
It's a surprise.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Read my mind.
Yeah.
Because
I
you can
know.
do that. Just yeah, definitely.
I already get it.
Yeah. You're like, it's empty, Tiff. What's going on?
There's nothing in there.
Exactly. Exactly. Maybe Lily will make an appearance.
You
I
never
don't
know. I
Exactly.
mean, stranger things have happened on our show.
If you guys have any suggestions about what to do for the 1-year birthday of Spirit Connections,
What you'd like to see, who you'd like to see, just throw it out there. Email us, be in the chat room, let us know because
celebrate, I'll have a little celebratory cake.
we should.
We will.
We should have a big party.
We should. We will.
We will.
I know.
Okay.
Sorry, I keep on touching you. Because we're playing footsies underneath.
keeps
I know you
kicking me.
can't see it, but anyways.
So what else we have going on?
That's about it for the month of April. And then I just booked a couple of really good guests for May, so I'm pretty excited about that too.
That's exciting.
So
May's gonna be big too. There's a lot happening then too. So
I know.
we'll see.
So much. I know. It's funny, we just look at each other and stare and smile sometimes.
Yeah, sorry guys, I can't help it.
It's just part
It's
of the
our
gig.
normal conversations, but it's hard to have two people that communicate without words talk
Exactly.
to each other in the beginning of a show. That's just what happens.
Because everybody else is kind of like, what, huh?
As we're
so.
having a full-blown conversation, but you can't tell. So sorry, everyone.
But this is actually, I guess this is our time to wrap it up. The first 10 is out.
Yep.
We went through all the good stuff as far as the upcoming events and all that good stuff. So, thanks, Steph.
You're welcome.
And I'll see you
shortly.
So, yeah,
I'm off
in
to
a
my
second.
corner.
And now, as we make a fun switch with cameras, it's always so awkward. We do need music, don't we? And nobody answers, that's okay. So, hi guys, welcome to Spirit Connections.
Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. This is Ken DeCosta and this is Dave DeCosta, father and son duo. Welcome.
Duo.
Thank you
yes,
so
thank
much
you.
for
It's a
having
pleasure
us.
to be here. Nice to see you again.
I know, it's been a while. I think the first time I met you guys was at a Capers event back in August 2010. I forget what I think it was like the Northeast. Was it the Northeast?
God, it was the East Coast Conference. I
Yeah.
think it was
American Ghost Society.
Yeah.
American Ghost Society. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was up at the Cape Cod Community College, and all the heavy hitters were there,
Jeff Belanger.
like yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Belanger and
Rosemary.
Ellen Guiley was
and-
there, and
Who was excellent.
She's
She was.
awesome.
She is
I've
just-
seen her
she
a couple
was.
times do a lecture.
Hate to go off, but
Yeah,
she is
I-
just one of those people who's just really interesting to talk to, and we'll take the time to take you aside and have a conversation with you. I remember having a good 20-minute conversation with her about different things and demonology and different approaches and
Right,
psychological approach and things like that. So
Well, I believe the lecture that she did was on the exorcism, or it was demon possession.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was basically the different forms and names and connotations given to demons, and she's a pro. I'll
Yeah,
tell ya.
she's
I mean,
amazing.
because she
She's from
just,
Connecticut.
You know,
So
yeah.
I brought up Connecticut, so I'm just.
Yeah, I think she just
Yeah.
moved here recently.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Within the last
Local,
year
yeah.
or so. So
Oh, good,
she is
okay.
in New England now. So
Okay, so.
we're claiming her as ours.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good. I'm hoping to see her sometime, maybe at the next Ocean State
I hope
Paracon.
so. I hope so.
hopefully.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
I hope
Hopefully,
so. That would be
little more
wonderful.
time. Sometimes, I mean, we've had about six months or so to get this together, but
Yeah.
a lot of times for certain people, especially in the field, I don't want to say they're doing a tour. It's not like they're a band, but you know, they've got events lined up and things like that, and sometimes you just need a little more time.
Just scheduling.
You know.
It is,
Very
because you
much
do,
so.
especially when it's weekends. I mean, we're trying to plan a surprise party, which I guess I can't really talk about right now, but
Yeah, real nice, Tiff. Good time to talk about.
Congratulations for being here for a year. You,
thank
Stephanie,
you.
Carlston,
Thank
everybody.
you.
That's wonderful. Good for you guys. I'm a fan. I watch.
Good. I
I
hope so.
do.
I hope somebody
I do.
watches.
I do.
I'm thinking if they just keep on replaying and replaying, someone's
Luca,
bound to watch it.
it's
Yeah.
like, no, you've got a lot of our friends on here, you know, so it's like we sat there
love
with
it.
envy. It's like, well, we get on sometimes.
Well,
And
I'm
here we
finding
are.
more and more people tend to watch, like, because now it's on YouTube, so they can watch the archives. So
Nice.
more and more people are watching the archives because they're like, oh, I
Nice.
can't miss it. But
Nice.
you know, she's gonna. We know Tiff will post it on YouTube, so they watch it through YouTube.
Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I'm just excited to be part of it all. Now, you guys are from the group Rise Up Paranormal.
Yep.
What does Rise Up Paranormal stand for? Or does it stand for anything?
It does, actually. It stands for the Rhode Island Society for the Examination of Unusual Phenomena, because I know ghosts and hauntings are definitely the thing, but when we started, we never really limited ourselves to that. The paranormal is the paranormal, and it includes cryptids, UFOs, anything that goes bump in the night or people can't explain, so we didn't want to limit ourselves to one particular area, although it does take up a majority of our efforts and time. But we started back in 2007. That almost makes us like old timers in this field now.
I
you
know.
5 to 6 years, jeez. So we started with a group of 5 people, all friends who had a lifelong interest in this type of thing. And long story short, eventually now that's grown to 20 full-time members.
Wow.
In 2 states. We have an affiliate group, Rise Up Connecticut, which is comprised of 8 people down there. So we're all getting a chance to get out into the field now, and really I think the basis of what we do is historical research. It's important, I think, because you can't have events now without prior events that led up to
Right.
it. And we really try to approach things unbiased. We don't go in as skeptics or believers. We believe in going in as observers. So You know, we're a little bit different in that regard.
I was just going to
because-
say that's an interesting approach, but at the same time, it offers so much validation because if you observe,
Observe, yeah.
what you do is you're using your body's senses.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's your hearing, whether it's your sight, whether it's what you feel, temperature drop or not, you're still using your
Right.
body's senses.
I mean,
and
we'll
that's
try,
huge.
we'll try to monitor the environment. You know, we have all the gizmos and toys, but I think if you go in as a skeptic, and the thing is to say we go in skeptically to try to disprove, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I think if you lean one way or the other, it displays a bias. Because you can go too far in debunking just like you can go too far in believing. And most people, when they have experiences, they're not looking for them. They're just going about their everyday, mundane, you know, they're doing the laundry or they're cooking dinner or watching TV and something happens. So we kind of like to put ourselves in that same position and just stop, look, and listen. Because, like you say, our senses and our own powers of observation, sometimes they kind of get lost in favor of gadgets and gizmos, and we kind of lose a little bit of ourselves in doing
well,
that.
because sometimes, I'm glad that you said that because I feel sometimes you get almost to the point, well, wait, there's a temperature drop. And because I've worked with people where they just like count the drop in temperature over and over again.
Sure.
And it's just kind of like, well, why don't you stop that for a minute
Yeah.
and tell me exactly, do you feel like something's around you? Do you feel, it's just something very simple to that nature. And sometimes we just worry too much on technical objects.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great point, Tiffany. And if anything, I don't want to say it's a criticism we have because you know, we're just going about our business trying to conduct our investigations the way we do. But something we definitely consider is this whole technological craze, this technological movement. And the reality of it is, for the 130 or 40 years that we've had, not necessarily working electricity, but this drive toward modern technology, it obviously plays a role in our current mythology. Equipment, the desire to get readings, the desire to have interaction with these devices, we can kind of get trapped in that. We can kind of get too focused on that.
Over-reliance.
Yes, and over
Couldn't-
eager.
Couldn't put it better. And the reality of it is ghosts and hauntings are a human phenomena which have been taking place for, I mean, let's call it 2 million years, going back to cave paintings in Africa. Is something that is as human as breathing. It's something that is as human as eating, sleeping. It's something that we've always done. So when we start to focus too heavily on the technology, we're almost, that is a bias, like we're talking about trying to
You can lose a little bit of yourself in that.
Absolutely.
removing the bias is not an easy thing to do, but it's something you have to do if you want to be a good paranormal / psychical researcher. You need to be able to just take a deep breath, sit in a room, and have your experience, and then try and relay that experience in an honest way, and go from there.
Yeah, we try to apply science, but not to the point that we lose ourselves in it and lose a little bit of ourselves too, because you want to bring that human element into the environment, because after all, it's humans that are experiencing these
Very
things.
necessary,
So,
yeah.
Well, let me ask you this then, my first question of the night, or maybe it's my second, who's counting? But would you guys ever use a medium? Because mediums use all their senses and constantly we're wired into connecting.
We have, on occasions where we've gone in, I don't think we'd use a medium on our first foray or investigation into a place. I think that a lot of times you'll hit a dead end, or you'll hit a wall, so to speak, where maybe you need a name now. Maybe you want to go a little bit further.
Yeah. We've gotten something, we've done the investigation,
Right.
we've gotten something. And for a lot of groups, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the experience and they're looking for the documentation. But where can you go from there,
Right.
With using a medium, I was going to say you do get I believe, because I've gone to places where they've asked me
Right.
to do readings on buildings
Right.
and so forth, and I was able to give them validation by names of people that had previously lived in the building, and
Right.
or information about family members that there was just no way that I would be able to find, or anybody would,
Yeah, that's
you
the
know,
good stuff.
be
It
able
takes
to
a
find.
third party.
It's-
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Right,
So
and it's not so much a test
right.
for the medium, because we're not looking to validate or invalidate
It's supposed to
anyone. We're,
enhance
we're,
and
we're
help.
looking for you to work
Yes.
with us. And I think the key to that in using someone who has a gift and can give you an impression, I think that above all, there has to be that mutual respect where we apply a little bit more science into it and you're using more intuitive things. There just has to be a healthy respect for each other, because if one is trying to step on the other one, or maybe trying to be right, we're not trying to be right, we're trying to do the right things. It's not important to always be right, it's important to reach whatever the
Right.
healthy conclusion is. So I think the best way to do it is, like, if I were to ask you to come, and I'm going to, we have a lot of locations that
I know that wasn't a ploy, by the way, to
bring
be
you
like,
in.
have you
No.
used a medium,
No,
and do you
no,
want
it's
one?
like,
Because
pull her
there's
in.
two right
Pull her
here.
in.
That's right. But the thing is, we would let you go in first and just sort of follow you around and say, you go to where you want to go, and then see if we can find those common denominators. So I think it's extremely useful, as long as there's that healthy respect for each other's methods and way of doing things.
Right. And honestly, I usually only use a digital voice recorder if I go into a place, and in a flashlight, of course, if it's at night. But I love the technical aspect of it, because I do. Who doesn't like to see a response, like using a K2
Sure.
meter? You know, who doesn't like to see that instant gratification? You know, of
You used
wow,
a
we
good, that's
really
a great
are.
word. That's a great
You
way to
know?
put it,
Yeah.
Tiffany.
But
And
that's also the thing you got to be wary of with
yeah,
clients.
I was
so.
going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Right.
honestly, it's hard because a lot of groups are at odds in the sense that they see somebody who has an intuitive gift or a mediumistic gift. It's almost threatening sometimes, because we can put hours in and maybe not get the same type of result as someone who can come in and, okay, I have a name. Within an hour or half an hour of being there, I have a name.
Right. They're sitting
I
right
have
there.
a way, you know, I have, this is what they did, this is where they're from, this is, you know, this is who you may be dealing with. But the honest truth is, that's very territorial on their behalf, and we try and avoid that based on the fact that it really is a give and take sort of experience. It's you take the opportunity to do whatever you have to do to get as much information as possible to draw a reasonable, logical conclusion, even if that
Right.
reasonable,
Right.
logical conclusion favors the paranormal. And that's the thing is, if you're territorial, or if you're trying to get some type of information that you think you're going to put on a different level than a medium, you just have to understand. I kind of choked up, but you're working on different levels.
Right,
You're
and-
working on in a different way.
And I always say, and Steph hears it all the time, because I'm always, but ego is huge.
Yep.
And that's, when you're saying territorial, that's all I'm hearing is ego, because people are like, well, my recording said this, and, you know, and that medium said that, and, you know, and whatever, whether the medium that you use is that way too, you know, it's just always like, who's going to be better? But the bottom line, it's not who's better, it's whoever can help the situation out, if it needs to be helped. I mean, some people must call you guys just to say, hey, you know, we're not scared, we're not hurt or anything like that, but we
Oh,
just
yeah.
kind of want to know if there's anything going
more
on.
than you'd think. I
know,
think more than popular culture would like to think.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
the case. It's we've been living here for 10 years and we've got kids and we're all happy in the house and this is where we live, but there's some weird things going on. I think
Right.
popular culture favors the fear and anxiety because that makes better press, obviously,
Exactly,
than
exactly.
people who are living normal lives. But
It's just when some people have come to grips with it, and everybody wants something a little bit different. You know, some people want validation, Some people are just curious. Some people, a lot of times, what you got to understand is like an investigation, people immediately think, pack up the car and let's get down there and bust
Well, they
in.
exactly
yeah, the
whatever they
camera
see on
is-
TV is what
Right,
they know.
but an investigation, usually the way we look at it, it's a mutual decision between the client or the subject and ourselves. That's the best way to proceed, because it's an intrusive thing. If you have a family, you're going to have to rearrange kind of your lifestyle, even if it's for a few hours that night.
Right.
So it's not, sometimes you can just, people just want to talk on the phone and talk to somebody who'll give them a little bit of understanding, a little bit of compassion, because a lot of times they can't talk about these things to their family or their best friends, but they'll talk to a complete stranger who'll just listen to them and kind of advise them, well, maybe this is what you want to do, or maybe, you know, I'm not saying draw a conclusion without ever setting foot in the place, but a lot
Right.
of times that compassion and understanding for, we know what you're talking about.
Like
We've seen
anything
this
else.
type of thing.
Like anything else, any other field, if you were a medical doctor, you would have gone to school and learned about symptoms. And we do kind of the same thing, where there are patterns within this,
Right.
this so-called field, but there are patterns to hauntings. Sometimes they surround a location, other times they surround the individuals at a location. Sometimes they have to do with stress, sometimes they have to do with history, sometimes they have to do with trauma. But if we can recognize a symptom early and, you know, help somebody or inform them about what exactly, not what exactly, but what may be going on, or what their you know, different cases that are similar, that, if nothing else, provides a little bit of peace of mind. Like, there are other people who have gone through and are going through this sort of activity, and it may have to do with this, may have to do with that.
There's comfort in inclusion. There always is comfort in inclusion,
Right.
to know that you're not alone.
Exactly. How'd you know that? That's on the back of one of my spirit medium cards. Is we're never truly alone. It's
We
kind
do-
of stalker style,
we
but,
do our research.
but yes,
Well.
in the paranormal field, I guess that means that. Steph, I know you have a ton of questions,
Yes,
and we
I
still
do.
have so much to go over too. But
Yep.
the chat room is rip roaring and ready to go. So
Yes, it is. So most of these questions are for the both of you. So if you want to answer separately, you can,
Sure.
or together. What were Ken and Dave's first paranormal experiences, and at what age did Dave get involved?
My first paranormal experience. Well, everybody kind of does this for a different reason. Sometimes you get into this because, you know, something happened and you're looking to figure it out. To me, I did when I was a child, but it's not why I do this. I'm just curious why people have these experiences. But I remember at 8 years old, I'll try to really condense this and give you the dummies version of it. When I was 8 years old, I was outside and just fiddling around after school, and I watched my uncle drive by my house. He had one of these big old Buicks with it was a boat. And my Uncle Fred, and he's a distinctive guy. He's a cross between Kramer from Seinfeld
Yep.
and Fred Flintstone. You know, he's very distinct. You can't mistake him. And he drove by and gave me the wave, and I waved back, went about my business. And about a half hour later, my mom came in from work, and you could tell she'd been crying. She never said a word to me, walked in the house, and, you know, I'm outside, you're 8 years old, 9 years old, whatever, and you're, what's going on? My dad came in later, went inside, came back out, and told me that your Uncle Fred had passed away this morning. And I had seen him not more than an hour drive by the house, and never told anybody that story really for about
I
30
didn't-
years.
I didn't even hear that story till I was out of college, and we've always had this interest. And I'll let him finish, but I didn't hear that story until I was out of college. So
Yeah,
something
so
that he
it's
kept.
just one of those things that that was mine. And just kind of like never said anything to my parents, never said anything
right.
to anybody, but it was just, it wasn't one of those, I woke up from a dream. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And my
You didn't
uncle,
think
who
anything different.
passed away in a car. And the weird thing about it, in a car, no less. So I never really looked further than that into the meaning of it. It just kind of was, just what it was.
Good. I like that. Dave?
As the way I like to put it, and I guess this is kind of, it's a little cheeky, but I like to say I was kind of born into it.
You didn't have a chance.
Not that.
Poor kid. Poor kid.
To say that my father's always had this interest, and obviously we do this together, and to say he's always had this interest, I don't want people to take it as though Ken DeCosta has always been fixated with these things. I mean, I grew up on a healthy diet of playing baseball, like a normal kid, playing baseball, and he was my coach, and playing football, and
couple of big jocks.
going to school, being a kid. But that being said, I mean, I grew up on, we used to watch Sightings, we used to watch the different shows, Outer Limits, Twilight Zone. And I think the early introduction to that kind of kept me open-minded to it throughout my life. The major experience that I had as a kid that kind of pushed me to this, and it's probably similar to what a lot of other people have had, but I had one of those experiences where I was about 6 years old, and I woke up in the middle of the night. I heard the dogs. The dogs were rustling. We had a new puppy, and the dogs were rustling, and I went out to just go check on them, and as I was I wasn't allowed to be out of bed, so I'm sneaking out of bed, you know, tiptoeing through the living room. And I see a woman who passed through and right through a wall, and beautiful, blonde-haired. It was the woman in white. It was your archetype, woman in white. Blonde hair, flowing, lacy dress. And that's something that I didn't end up thinking about until I ended up going to Rhode Island College for psychology back in the early turn of the century, 2002, 2003. And as I started to get
Was
further,
that easy for you?
No.
It wasn't? Okay.
No, definitely not. I'm more of a builder. I'm more of a hands-on guy, and a lot of times we push towards that sort of get in an office and make as much as you can, but sometimes it's nice to build too. But it wasn't until I really started getting more into the field of psychology that came back from college, started talking to Dad about these things again that we had always been interested in, but it kind of opened a door for the two of us to say, you know what, there's a lot of people out there doing this now. We like to think we're two reasonably intelligent, well-rounded, I don't want to say normal, because who's normal?
No
but,
one is.
No one is. Reasonably normal, logical people. Who's to say we can't get into this? We've had our experiences. How can we use what we've learned over the years to try?
And that's how RISEUP Paranormal was born.
That's it.
Steph?
Next question.
That was the short version of that.
I know. Well, that's the thing. It's
Sorry,
like,
now we gotta go.
we're always like, okay. How are we doing for time? I know, because we still have to talk about the convention and everything.
All right. Next question is, what was the most unusual or bizarre thing that has happened to Ken and Dave individually?
That's funny, because that may end up being something. I know he's got his story, but we had a really. I'm gonna I'll let him. I'll spare my strange, just because I've had some really strange things that aren't paranormal happen to me. But we had a really strange experience together one time. We were at a place called the Edward King House in Newport, and we were up in what was, I guess, a servant section. It was a hidden section that came out of a closet. I mean, the vanity opened up, and there was a whole nother separate wing of the house, so it must have been for servants or maybe a sick ward or something like that. And he and I, along with our technical manager, Dave Grady, were sitting in the room just doing general EVP, ask a question, give 30 seconds, 10 seconds for a response. And we heard, and it's on our website.
I'm sorry, what's your website, by the way?
www.riseupparanormal.com.
And it's right on the screen. Good.
And we heard a moan audibly. This wasn't an electronic voice phenomenon. This was an audible voice phenomenon, and it was just, oh!
How was it?
Don't make me do it again. You embarrassed me.
Please don't make him do it again.
Don't make me do it. But we're all sitting together asking questions, and we hear a, ah! And we're all, I remember him asking, is that you, Dave? Out no, it's not me.
In so many words.
Yeah, in so many, yeah.
In more colorful language.
Maybe there may be a bleep or two. Not a really vulgar bleep, but just a common bleep. But no, that was something that we had happen together, and that was very early in our, I guess, career of doing this.
For me, it was probably watching apparition of a small child pass in front of me as I looked down the hallway at a place, Payne House in Coventry, just last year.
Yeah.
That was probably the most, I wouldn't call it frightening, it was very unnerving. You know, I think especially because a child had, you know, it was obviously a child, and that's kind of unsettling.
I think it is for a lot of people. Even like hearing like
Yeah.
the EVPs of children too goes right through you.
Well, the hope is that people, the trauma theory is prevalent in the field. You know, the fact that something negative has happened or something traumatic happened, and that's what keeps people here. We really we'd like to think that maybe some of these spirits are there because they choose to be, as opposed to always thinking the worst case scenario. They're
Some are
trapped here,
choosing
they
to
need
be.
to be released. I mean, that may or may not be the case, and we won't know until they give us that response. So.
That's why it's good to have a medium.
I know, it is.
Yep, because a lot of them are just unaware of their surroundings, or they're afraid of the change. So it's good to have somebody, at least a medium that's qualified to cross them over or to help them make that extra step. That kind of answers the next question. The next one was actually, have either of you ever seen a full body apparition? But you guys both answered that question in your other questions.
Sweet.
So
yeah, we're cutting.
Yes,
we're
you
cutting
have.
out.
Actually, a question that you guys have also answered as well, but I don't know if you guys want to touch any more on it. They asked if you had ever used a spirit medium on an investigation. If so, how did that work out for you? And do you consider spirit mediums a form of GPS?
I think we covered that. The only thing I will say, excuse me, is that when using mediums, we've had mixed results.
A lot of that is
Well-
dependent on the integrity of the medium.
I was just going to say, to be honest with you,
Simply put.
Steph and I always, sorry to interrupt,
No.
but I was just going to say, just say one thing.
I-
No, but a lot of times, and you guys are very well aware, is that there's a lot of people out there that do cold readings,
Yeah.
and cold readings for you guys who don't know.
I do
it's-
cold readings
It's
sometimes.
people. It's people that will just look at somebody and maybe by the color of their skin or their hair or whatever, they could pick up their ethnicity and or you know, and then they could say, "Oh, do you know someone
yeah.
of this origin?" And
Yeah.
It's like
you
the
know.
show Psych. You know, if you ever seen the show Psych.
Yeah, or
you know.
what's that show with the Australian Simon
The
Baker?
Mentalist.
Yeah.
The Mentalist.
Yeah, but he's a perfect
very
example.
true.
Is
Well, some
he-
people are just there's a term
Hyper
for it.
observant.
Hyper observant, and you can pick out, you know, pictures, and so
Right.
it's like in bringing a medium in. You know, you've always got to be aware of clues and hints they pick up. And like I say,
and the credibility, you have to know your medium before
Yeah.
you just bring one in.
Right, and I hate
So-
I hate for it to be a test of you where I got
But
to
it's-
hide things.
unfortunately,
but
that's-
maybe that's to your benefit to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
because it makes you believe in it a little bit more. Because everybody's always skeptic with working with the so-called medium.
Yeah,
Because you
for
don't
sure.
know, you know, it's good to have a recommendation by somebody else in the field. Like, hey, you know, I worked with this person, they're great, okay. Bringing in just anybody, and we've met plenty of people over the years, and it's just outrageous where we go home, we sit down like, these people make money off of this? Like, you know, here we are doing it for free because we love it. It's our passion. Like, I do it all the time. I love mixing the mediumship with the paranormal because I love to get that scientific evidence. To hear me talk to a spirit that I'm communicating with and having an EVP that's answering me back to the question I just asked as I'm doing it in person is phenomenal to me.
Gratifying.
Because
Yeah.
I'm amazed by it because it's still scientific evidence that this is actually what happened.
Well, even
So,
sorry, but I
Yeah.
was just going to add to that, Steph. When you and I went to a house with Andrew Lake and Matt Moniz, they were with us when both of us were like, boo, 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 boo. And then
Yep.
we got the EVP responding to exactly
That was
what
a cool
both of
night.
us were saying. Yeah, because you and I were both touching on certain things
Right.
similar. And then there was one room Steph was getting a ton of stuff, and then there was another room I was getting a ton of stuff.
yeah, and
So
that
it
was definitely my test with Matt Moniz that night because he had seen me work before, but he's like, I got to get you in this house. I got
Okay.
to see what you get.
Yeah.
And
Right.
as soon as that happened, he was jumping up and down like, I want to tell you that you're right the whole time, but I can't tell you anything.
I know.
And he
Can't
didn't
do
tell
it,
me to
yeah.
the end. And And by that time, I had no idea what I said the whole time because it's like I'm in a different state anyway.
You're just a
but-
conduit, so you're just
Yep.
going.
And in its purest
right.
form, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We're looking for something to corroborate something else. And in its
Right.
purest form, that's because it's all data. You know, it's not necessarily, we went there to get evidence. No, you went to get data.
Right.
And only after it stands a certain criteria, stands up to a test, can you call it
Right.
evidence. So that's in its
Validation.
purest
Yeah.
form right there.
We love, and we just get excited about talking about it.
We do.
So that's
anyways.
why, yeah.
We love doing it.
Yeah,
It's like I said,
that's
people
all.
get paid.
That's all.
It's good
something
stuff.
something that I kind of I don't know how far. Maybe we can get into this later. But this is something that has always interested me, and it's one of my main criticisms of psychics and mediums, if I did have one. And maybe this is just the psychologist in me. Not that I'm an accredited psychologist, but it's kind of I am so interested in hearing about the process. Because some people seem to get direct visual images about time periods. Other people work in signs and symbols. Other people work with words and names. And I guess that's the whole clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience.
And just to give you a quick answer on that, and we can definitely talk about it afterwards, because I know Steph and I, as similar as we are, we're still really different. Whereas, just really quick, she actually sees apparitions as if
Yep, on
in
top
a
of
true form.
inside, I can also hear, like, I have a bunch
Right.
of different ways that just kind of all come together, and I don't really know where it comes from, but it does. Where you work with a lot of signs and symbols in
Right, like
you
I
know.
see it as if it's a memory. So say if I said, Dave, what did you wear yesterday? And right now you have a memory, and you can, well, maybe you don't, but you have a picture in your mind. So that's how it comes to me most of the time. But even we've worked with other mediums where some mediums are so right on with, say, the description of the house. Whereas I could be like, oh, well, Fred was there, and he was there in 1967 from 1969, and he blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
everybody
Funny
is...
that you should
Should
choose
we get
that.
into
Well, I said red because of your own
specifics,
fault,
right?
but
Place
that's,
memory.
but that's kind of how it works, and it just with anything that you do, you're gonna find people that that may be better, or not even better, but just may have a better.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
By the
I don't
way,
wanna use the
did,
term
did he
better.
tell you that his uncle was named Fred?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we did
All
talk
right.
about
I
that.
was just
Yeah,
kind of like,
I will
wow.
call myself out on that, but I want to, like, we have so much to cover, but I really want to talk about Ocean State Paracon too, because
Yeah.
Sure,
that's
yeah.
huge, and that's coming up this weekend, and I know Steph has some questions.
I have 5 left.
All right,
So,
so
it depends on how fast you can go.
I know, because I know we're running out of time
We'll do
as
better.
far as
We have about 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Okay, so let me ask you this. Do any of the questions have to do with Paracon?
No, they
Ocean
don't.
State Okay. It's great, though. Okay.
Everybody's talking about it. They can't wait. They can't wait. They can't wait. It's a big buzz, but no questions about Paracon. But if you want to go over who's going to be there, because they're kind of talking about that. So
Yep.
Okay, yeah,
If you
let's talk
can.
about who's going to be there and what's going on.
Okay, real quick, Paracon will be held Saturday, as of this taping today, April 14th. It's going to be from noon to 7 p.m. St. Anne's Arts and Cultural Center, Woonsocket, Rhode Island. And some of the best and brightest of the local field are going to be there. And Tiffany is going to be there as one of our speakers doing a question and answer. Carl Johnson will be doing a talk on Bigfoot in New England. Christopher Rondina, a noted author, a very good friend of ours. will
Great
be giving-
storyteller.
Yeah, a
Great
wonderful storyteller. He's going to be doing a talk on, I believe it's Occam's Razor or Hunting Like Sherlock in a
Oh.
Scooby-Doo world.
Oh, that sounds
So basically,
fun.
what Chris
Really
is going to do
interesting.
is
Yeah, it
what
does.
Chris
Way to
is
put
going to
it,
do
yeah.
is talk a little bit about some of the misconceptions of paranormal investigation.
I haven't met him yet either.
I
so.
think that'd be interesting. You'll love Chris and Mike Markowitz will be.
He's
doing
been on
something
back in October, guys.
EVPs. If you know Mike Markowitz, he's got some remarkable things.
Worked with Phantom PI.
Oh yeah. And those will be our speakers, and we're going to have well over 30 paranormal and metaphysical groups and individuals from throughout New England there. And one of the things that we wanted to do was try to combine the investigative teams with the metaphysical. So there are people there going to do tarot readings and
Oh, good.
everything from crystals to jewelry, and
Because
there'll
there's
be
so many different modalities out there. So.
it really will, and we're doing this for 3 separate charities. One is Foster Parrots, and it's an animal shelter that deals with abandoned and abused exotic animals, and those a lot of times are the forgotten animals and all this. We're doing a separate raffle for the Litz family, who tragically lost a son in a car accident. And two paranormal investigators from Troy, Ohio, who lost their home in a fire. So we're doing, the admission is $5 for adults, $3 for children under 16. All those proceeds and the vendors' proceeds will go toward the animal shelter. Our raffle, we've got some great raffle items. Those will go toward the Litz family, and we'll have a clothing and household donation for the couple in Ohio. So it kind of like they don't interfere with each other.
Good.
And it's 3 separate things
Yeah.
that'll have their own
Yeah,
thing. But
and
we've got an investigation of the Payne House in Coventry that we're raffling off, and Old School Paranormal from Connecticut. 4 people are going to go to the Sterling Opera House in Derby,
Wow.
Connecticut, and investigate that with ourselves, Old School, and the TAPS home team.
And please, folks, we were talking about the family. This is a husband and wife with 2 young daughters.
Yep.
From Troy,
So-
Ohio.
From Troy, Ohio. So anything, fathers, mothers, if you have some extra clothes lying around, or especially those with kids or daughters who may be getting a little bit older, even if it's toys. I mean, that's just something to just take their mind off of some of the tough things that are going on. It's all worth it.
If you go to our Facebook page, and we have one, Ocean State Paracon, it'll have sizes for the kids
Oh,
and things
good.
like that, and a lot of information as far as what we're going to do that day. But
Good.
I can't express my gratitude enough for the support for the paranormal community, the metaphysical community, all of you that are speaking, except to say I'm just not surprised.
Yep.
I'm not surprised
Not at
that
all.
people who help
Good people
people
in the
would
field.
step up and support something like this. So to be honest with you, I'm not surprised at all that everybody would get on board with this. So come down and see all of us, and it's going to be a great social event, a lot of fun.
Well, and for more information, again, you guys can go to my website, tiffanyrice.com, because it's on my event section as well. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
See you there.
But we're not done yet, because Steph has some questions to ask.
I do. Do you want me to go now?
Yeah.
Okay. The next question was, what do they consider the most active location in New England for paranormal activity?
How would I qualify that? That we've been to, or would I?
Um,
Obviously, I mean, anything I have would be hearsay.
right.
In terms of places we've been to about 22 on the National Register. We've been outside, Fort Mifflin, Eastern State, and all that stuff. In New England, I would say that in terms of the places that we have visited, probably Belcourt Castle in Newport. We
That's
did.
what somebody just wrote in the chat room too. Dave
Yeah,
G.
2010 we
says to
did.
say hi to you guys. So
Oh, yeah, Dave, I mentioned Dave earlier. Dave is our technical manager.
Yeah, we.
Hi,
we-
Dave.
we
he said hi
did.
to Tiffany and hi to you
David.
guys. He didn't forget, is what he said. But right before you said Belcourt Castle, he wrote Belcourt. So
Yeah, we had done about 6 of our own investigations there, and eventually took the public through, and it was astounding to see what the public came back with. That was actually really valid, because people tend to
Right.
get a little jumpy in places, but what they actually came back that passed muster, so to speak, with us. So I'd have to say, in terms of the sheer volume of the things that came back, Belcourt stands out for me. The Payne House in Coventry that we've got a relationship with, and we've been doing that currently, and that's actually, that's coming up later on this month in a little while. They're doing an episode of My Ghost Story.
Oh,
on
really?
the Payne House. Yeah, Dave and I went out to L.A. to
That's exciting.
to
You guys
film
could talk
that.
about that.
Oh yeah, was
well-
it exciting? Yeah, well, it's
Yeah, I think people get sick of us soon enough.
Hey, you know what? Spoken like
But
a...
no, we went out for 3 days to L.A. and filmed an episode of Payne House. So I'm not really contractually at liberty to discuss the
Right.
evidence until it
we
actually
signed
airs.
the papers.
Google it.
April 21st, the season starts, and a local Rhode Island place will be
That's awesome.
will be featured. So tune it in.
We will. we will.
To build off of the Payne House a little bit, if you guys can't answer, how many ghosts do you think are there?
One that we are pretty confident of for sure. We know there's a child. We're about 98% sure it's a female, and that's off of doing comprehensive voice analysis, doing frequency analyses. It's we're pretty pragmatic with our technical stuff, and I don't want to get too into that because that's really long-winded. But there's one that we know of for sure at the Payne House. It was a little girl, we think. And the name Sarah gets thrown around, whether or not we have Sarahs at the location, but they've all gotten older and grown up, and we're not sure if that's the name per se, but we know we've had a lot of stuff from the child. We've had some things from who we think is one of the women,
Yep.
who was the wife of former, governor of Rhode Island?
Lieutenant Governor.
Lieutenant Governor of Rhode Island, Mrs. Whipple.
I think at this point we're probably safe to say that I think that there are 4 that have
That you connected with
let
at the time
themselves
you
be
were
known
there.
that I could play you voices, and I think there are 4 at this point.
That sounds exciting. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get
Go
you
ahead.
in there too, Tiff.
I know.
That's the place.
We've kind of, I don't want to say we have an open door, but I mean, we've got access for the summer. We're hopefully going to do more events at the Payne House. It's a beautiful location.
That sounds wonderful.
So,
Starting in May. Yeah.
Let me know. I'm in.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a specific investigation inside the Bridgewater Triangle?
No. No, I've spent a lot of time in the Triangle. I mean, during the day, just touring and seeing some of the spots. But at this point in time, we've done a lot of investigations on the perimeter of the Triangle in terms
Homes.
of private residences in Rehoboth and things like that. But in terms of going into the Hockomock Swamp, Anawa, and spending an overnight and doing something more, comprehensive than that to this point. No, but I mean, I have friends of mine that do it all the time, and we've got an open invitation to go, to be honest with you. So maybe this summer, this summer will. Fall is supposed to be better because I guess the foliage tends to
It's nice,
kinda
but it's
go
hunting
away.
Well, it
season.
opens
It's
up.
hunting season,
You know,
so you gotta
right.
be careful with that.
Oh,
Wear
yeah.
red.
Wear orange.
No
yeah,
antlers,
yeah.
that's
No,
not
I guess
fun.
when the foliage disappears, I guess you can see
Better
more,
line of
so-
sight.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's-
maybe.
And the tough thing with the Triangle, I think, is while there's a ton of reports, even going back to the 70s, there have always been reports back there. But the reality of it is, and we did a thing not too long ago with NEPR out there, John Brightman and NEPR, and I went out there with them and RJ Heim from Channel 10.
Can I just say, I used to call them Neeper. I still do.
Neeper.
Yeah.
You did that on air too.
Yeah, when they were on, I'm like, so I was Neeper. They're like, excuse me?
Yeah.
What?
But
Yeah.
I think that
Awkward moment.
the one thing I really wanted to convey in that interview, and I'll convey again, is I'm an avid hiker, hunter, fisherman. The reality of it is when people go out there, the majority of them do not go out there to look for UFOs. They don't go out there to look for ghosts, and they don't go out there to look for Bigfoot. It's a beautiful wildlife preserve. It's a gorgeous area. They go out there to hike. They go out there to take their kids so that their kids can experience something beyond just the density of the city. And when those experiences come out of places like that, I almost give them a little bit more credibility. I'm not saying to take any credibility away from anything else, but when somebody says they had an experience out in the woods, I tend to put a little more credence in that because I just know that I don't go out there to look for ghosts.
Right.
I do the
Right.
paranormal thing too, but that's usually, haunted location, somebody's home, somewhere where there's been reports. But
It goes back to what we started talking about earlier about going in with no bias.
Right.
You know, because people don't, when they have these experiences, they're not asking for them or looking for them. So those, what Dave is saying, really, I agree. It's like some of those are the most credible that you have, because
Right.
I don't want anything here. You know what I mean? It's,
I always like hearing that too, and
Yeah.
you know, especially if someone's not part of the paranormal field, and all of a sudden they've become a witness to
Right.
it or an observer.
Right. When you walk into a house and you see the 6 seasons of Ghost Hunters on DVD,
Then
You
that's
know.
when you're like, who's
not
a
the
little
red
eager?
flannel,
Yeah.
okay,
Obviously,
you
we're-
know. And I'm not saying there's no credibility there. I'm just
No?
saying that a lot of times you look around when you walk into a place and you can see the decor. You can and you can pick up these little clues, and it adds to
Right.
your just trying to you factor all these things in to see, you know, because you're always looking for some kind of validity if that's what they want.
Exactly.
So when you go out to these places, you're not looking for it, things happen. I find that very credible.
Now, we do have to start wrapping up because we only have 5 minutes left. Believe it or not, I feel like Steph's still typing, and she's like, oh my gosh, I have so many questions, what am I going to do? But how can everybody get in touch with you if we don't answer every question tonight? How can people get in touch with you guys?
They can go to our Facebook page is probably the best to do it, Rise Up Paranormal. We're on Facebook, carry all the social media. You can drop us a line through our website, info@riseupparanormal.com. Send us an email. We love to hear from everybody. We have people sending us pictures and things like that, and we love it. You know, we love to hear
That's
from people.
something, yeah, we definitely take a lot of, not only do we take pride in, but we thoroughly enjoy, you know, getting emails, getting messages from people who are just interested, whether they have a question, whether they're looking to get involved, which is something we get a lot of, you know.
Obviously,
How can
if
we
you
get
have
involved?
2 teams,
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
And the biggest thing I can say too, for anybody who wants to get involved, I know it's difficult sometimes because the reason we formed our group and the reason a lot of groups are formed is for access. People are looking for access. I'm not saying that's the only reason we formed our group.
Right.
Obviously the interest was there and the desire to help people is there. But it's sometimes difficult. It's like, you know, can I call these places? Can I write to these places and get in? The best thing you can do is, one, read, research, read. I hate to say it, but it is embarrassing sometimes when groups come out and they obviously have no background. They obviously have no real interest in this other than just to follow a trend or a fad.
It happens,
But-
though, just
To
It does.
read, to do your own research, and if you are thinking of starting your own group, to do it in a way that's respectful. Think about it in terms of if you were a father or mother and had children and wanted to bring somebody into your home, you know, and you were to go look at somebody's website or you were to go look at, you know, somebody's
Right.
promotional things, you know, would you want these people in? And that depends on how you present yourself. And that's only going to help us all as a field. The more respectable people
Absolutely.
are and the more honest people are. That's a big, the H word is important. Honesty in this field.
The more background knowledge you can build, the more you can challenge conventional wisdom.
right.
And that's the thing that's
Right.
going to push us along. Just don't take what you've been told. Find your own way.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to challenge.
I'd rather be the most honest guy in the room about this sort of thing than the smartest guy.
I like that.
so-
And on that note, I know I have to wrap it up, and I know we didn't get to everybody's questions, but please check these guys out. Go to St. Anne's Cultural Center this Saturday from 12 to 7
12 to
in
7.
Woonsocket,
Gonna be a
Rhode
great
Island.
event.
Check it out. You can go to my Facebook page, Spirit Medium Tiffany. Like it first, and then and then you can see all the
Go
info.
see Tiff. Tiff will be there.
And definitely, thanks again, guys. Thank you for coming
Thank you
on,
so
and I
much.
would
so
love
much,
to have
Tiff
you guys
and
back.
Stephanie. Thank you.
And until next time,
everyone.
we'll see you next week, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good night.